special treat today of Beth Williams. Just start. Welcome to
Welcome to this happy place. Welcome to this happy place. Welcome to this happy place. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to this peaceful place. Welcome to this peaceful place. Welcome to this peaceful place. We're so glad you're here. We are one in the spirit as we walk in the light. We are one in the spirit. Everybody wanna say that's right.
That's right.
Welcome to this joyful place. Welcome to this joyful place. Welcome to this joyful place. We're so glad you're here. Welcome to this laughing place. Welcome to this laughing place. Welcome to this laughing place. We're so glad you're here. Let's laugh. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here.
Good morning. Thank you, Beth Williams. Isn't she so the most beautiful person? We haven't had her here for a while, and I'm so thankful for her saying yes today. David and Tamara are off on adventure, and Roy is also on adventure, a different kind of adventure. And so I called on Beth, and I forgot how beautiful her voice is and her presence and her face, and she's just a beautiful person. I'm so happy to have her here, and we will hear a lot from her. That was an original song of hers, and you'll hear 2 more original songs today from her. So stand by. Yes. I would like to call your attention to the candles, if you would. This is our 4th Sunday. We had early service this morning. We have prayers at the candles. So if you would like to light a candle for anything that you would like a representation of special prayer for, please come forward at any time during the service to light a candle. If you'd like to write a name on the board, Lou will include these names in her prayer this morning, but you have kind of limited time unless you want to come up on the stage and write it, because is Drake, where are you, Drake? Oh, you're clear over there. I just need you to put the board up when it's time, if you would be so willing to do that, onto the stage for Lou to read. So we'll leave it here for just 1 more minute. Cammie, thank you so much for your beautiful bowls this morning. She plays those before our early service, which is our meditation service, and just kind of sets the tone in the sanctuary here for a beautiful meditation service, and then does it before our 4th service as well. So thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah. I have a few announcements. This Wednesday night at 7 p.m. is the 4th Wednesday, and we will have spiritual practices. So that is, we practice some chair yoga, some regular yoga, some Tai Chi warm-ups, and some guided meditations. And this is designed for you to be able to take these ideas home with you and incorporate them into your own life as a spiritual practice in all of those. So we'll be doing that this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Wednesday night is always a love offering. Joni, where are you? Oh, look. Da, da, da. What an entrance. That's awesome. I just said your name, and so she has entered in, she told me this morning, 120 recipes for our CSL cookbook already. 50 more to do. Joni, you're a rock star. This is awesome. So we're having a fundraiser of a CSL cookbook. If you want to get something into that cookbook, you got to do it quickly, right?
Correct. This is the last week.
This is the last week. There are forms over on the table still. We're so grateful for Joni heading up this project, and we should have it hopefully for sale for Christmas presents. So see Joni, raise your hand there, see Joni if you have any questions about the cookbook. Thank you already for everything that you've put in and taking the time. I know it took a little bit of time to do it. Not nearly as much time as Joni, and she keeps saying, oh, this recipe looks great, you know. So thank you so much for that. Let's give Joni a nice hand. Thank you, thank you. Yard sale is coming up October 5th and 6th. We have sign-up sheets on the for the yard sale over there, what days you can come. On the Wednesday the 4th, we set everything out. I realize in my life I have a lot going on right now in my circumstances. I am probably not going to be able to be here all of those days. And so I really am going to need a lot of help of somebody constant here, kind of in charge. So if that could be you, please let me know. Is that Nancy? Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so yard sale will go on. If you have things to bring, you can bring them now all the way up to the yard sale. We love it if you bring them cleaned and ready to sell. Ellen, she even brings her stuff priced, so that's awesome. Right? So let's see, sign up if you can help do that. Thank you in advance for everything that you're bringing. And we also need trucks and people to load things on that last day to take everything away. So thank you for that. And I have a special announcement here. It's a save the date. So put your ears on because, and I've been planning this for years now, and this is, it's gotten canceled 2 other years. On October, is this true? October 28th I have Sunday. That's the last Sunday in October. Is it the 28th or the 29th? I have the 28th here.
29th is the Sunday.
Oh, of course. Scratch that out. It's the 29th. So Sunday, October 29th, we have a special guest speaker. It'll be Reverend Michelle Madrano from, where is she from? Yeah, mile high over in Denver. So Michelle and I have been trying to do this for a lot of years now. We had the pandemic, and so it canceled, and then she had something else happen, and it canceled, and finally I got her back this year, and I said, we need to get together, just come. So looking so forward to that. I would love to have a full house for Michelle when she comes, so I'll keep reminding you of that. All right, I think I'm done yammering for now. I will yammer a lot more in a few minutes. But for right now, let's just, oh, thank you so much, Drake. Let's just take a breath here and relax as we get into that inner presence, that heart space within us. Just breathe deep. Clear your mind. Let's all speak our vision statement together now. This center offers a path for awakening to the realization of oneness. Open hearts, inspired life, empowered love. Our spiritual community welcomes all people to embrace oneness as the truth of our being. Together, we see a world of love, peace, and abundance for all.
a quiet place within my heart, and I will listen, Holy Spirit, I will listen. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will listen, Holy Spirit, I will listen. I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet place. I will make a quiet place.
And in this holy silence, I align my self-consciousness in that silence that beats with the vibrancy of life, knowing that that is one life, that life is God's life, that life is perfect, and that is my life now. That this is the life that creates all of creation, that sustains all of creation. It is the life, the oneness, the spirit that is all-encompassing, all good, that expresses in that perfect beauty, and that perfect wisdom, and that divine intelligence, in peace, in harmony. It is the life, the substance of all things seen and unseen. It is the creativity of the universe. It is the one mind. And as this is the substance and the source of all things, I know that I am a part of this. That this attributes of spirit, of the one, moves in and through and as my life, expressing in a unique way. And as this is true for me, this is true for all of creation and each and every one here today. And so as from this place of knowing that there is only one life, that this life is flowing through everyone, I turn my attention not only to myself, but for each person requesting prayer, for each person with desires in their heart. And I know the truth for them. And so I speak this word for each and every one, including the names on the prayer list: Tally, Christopher, Haley and Winona, Zeke, Bill, Kenny, Kathy, Deb and family, all living beings, Beth, Anya, Shannon, Evan, Maria, Joey, Sandra, Tamara, Marla and Jean, Nolan, Nan and Tim, Nikki and Wendell, Nala and Buddy, Jerry, Pat, Joni, all kids in foster care, our parents, Sarah, Elisa, Paul, Jason, Will, Christine, Mona and Travis, Jason, Angeline, Lyle, Rector, Sherry, David, Christine, Chris, Shree, Paris, Linda Smith, Inslee family. Each of these people are one with the one, each a unique expression, expressing the divine in its allness. And I speak this word affirming the wholeness of truth for each of those and for each of us, knowing that the fullness of spirit is active and present right now in the midst of each situation, in the midst of each activity, in the midst of each seeming chaotic situation in life. And I know that this divine intelligence, this divine wisdom is working right now, energizing, coming forth in that wisdom for activity and action, for the right action in each situation. And I declare that each life is energized and strengthened from within, that each life is an open vessel and receptive to a greater expression of their divinity, that their life is expressing more easily that which they are: love, happiness, peace, health, prosperity, harmony. I know that each relationship, each business situation, each activity that is dear to their heart is flowing with that divine intelligence. That the divine mind is their mind, seeking and knowing the right answer, what needs to be done, and the wisdom to carry through. So I know that every good thing that is necessary for their desires, for their purpose on earth, is abundantly supplied. And the divine is prevalent, active, and seen in each situation. And their lives express all the goodness of the Spirit. And for this, I am so thankful, and I just give deep thanks to know that this is the truth, for each is an expression of the Spirit. The service is blessed, and all those who make it possible. We are uplifted by our wonderful music, our message, our speaker, all the volunteers, and each one here that is all part of the divine, spreading its light as the divine on each of us. So it's great gratitude and appreciation for this magnificence of life that is so freely given, always, in all manners, at all time, in its magnificent goodness. I just release these words knowing it is already so. It is the action of the law that is coming into fruition, as the universe always says yes, as we join together and declare, and so it is.
I guess I was so excited to be here that I jumped ahead on a song. So now let's get ready. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Here I come, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I come, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I come, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I come, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul.
Good morning and welcome to autumn. This for me is such a wonderful time of the year, so energizing. So if there is something keeping this energy from expressing in your life, please put your concerns in the prayer chest. It's just down the stairs to the left. Leave your worries, your care, or your desires in the prayer chest, and the practitioner will be doing affirmative prayer on your behalf this week. When you look at people who are successful, you will find that they aren't the people who are motivated, but have consistency in their motivation. So, Arsene Wegener. Small disciplines repeated with consistency every day lead to great achievements gained slowly over time. John Maxwell.
As I said, it's so good to be back and to see you all again and see so many new faces, and thank you, Brenda, for inviting me. And this song is called What You Know Is Right. And I was standing in my kitchen, I was drying dishes, and all of a sudden the line came to my head: if you don't want to live your life riddled with regret, you got to do the right thing, you got to do your best. And I laid the kitchen towel down and I went in the back and wrote this. There's so much confusion and trouble in the air. Sometimes it's hard to keep going, sometimes it's hard to care. Still, you know you got to hold on. know is right. My mama always told me, and daddy told me to be honest and good. Remember how we raised you. I didn't listen, and there for a while I was crazy, out of control, lost and running wild. But now I know you got to hold on, lean into the light, hold on, do what you know is right. Hold on, let your love shine bright. Hold on, do what you know is right. Ain't nothing to be gained by putting yourself first. In the end, we all die and are put down in the dirt. Can't take it with you. All that remains is the love you live here and the things that you change. Be the change, come on and hold on. Lean into the light, hold on. Do what you know is right. Hold on, let your love shine bright. Hold on, do what you know is right. On the other side of forever, there's a river of life. We'll all be free from sorrow and the dark of night. Won't need a candle, a lamp, or the sun. God's light will be shining on us. Everyone, God's light will be shining on us. Everyone, God's light will be shining on us. You got to hold on, lean into the light. Hold on, do what you know is right. Hold on, let your love shine bright. Hold on, do what you know is right. Do what you know is right. What is right? Do what you know is. Do what you know is. Do what you know. What you know is right. Do what you know is. Do what you know is. Do what you know. What you know is right.
I'm so lucky. Aren't I so lucky? I know, I get to sing with her. Man, she's beautiful. All right, thank you so much, Beth. Yep, you may sit until it's time again to come up. What a beautiful song. So she's got a lot of music on YouTube and stuff. If you follow her, she's got a lot of other music as well. So looking forward to following you. Okay, hi. I'm all like that now. So our focus for September has been mental discipline. And boy, that sounds dry, doesn't it? Mental discipline. Today I'm going to talk about transforming negativity. Anybody have negativity happening in their life, in their mind? Tell the truth. Okay. But first, because it worked so well last time, I have another joke. All right? Because I need to lighten up before I get really heavy. So, here we go. Husband asks his wife, "When I get mad, you remain calm and don't react. How do you maintain your self-control?" Wife, "I just go and clean the toilet." He says, "How does that help?" She says, "I use your toothbrush." All right, so I'm going to talk a little bit about negativity, how to maybe transform or transcend the negativity. Mostly I'm talking about the negativity that comes from our minds, our thoughts, from, does anybody have that mind chatter going on all the time? Yeah, I do too. I mean, it's the way of the humanness of us. And I've been reading again a lot more out of The Power of Now from Eckhart Tolle. Who's read The Power of Now? I suggest you reread it. I just want to reread it over and over and over and over. It is so good. And it's like an advanced course, I realize. These things that he's talking about are advanced spiritual practices. But I love the high bar to be able to reach to that truth because it just resonates with me when I read that. So we're going to talk a little bit about Eckhart Tolle and his ideas about the mind/ego. He talks a lot about the egoic mind, the one that you just can't turn off, the one that kind of runs your mind or runs your life and has been running it. So he says this: all inner resistance is experienced as negativity in one form or another. All negativity is resistance. Negativity can range from irritation or impatience to fierce anger, or from a depressed mood or a sullen resentment to suicidal despair. He says to offer no resistance to life is to be in a state of grace, of ease, and lightness. This state is then no longer dependent upon things being a certain way, either good or bad. It seems almost paradoxical. Yet when your inner dependency on form is gone, or when you stop depending on outer things being your way to make you happy, the general conditions of your life, the outer forms, tend to improve greatly. So I find myself in inner resistance of life a lot of the time, mostly unconsciously, because if I was conscious of this, surely I would not choose to experience negativity and suffering, right? So it's unconscious that these old patterns come up. When we become conscious, then we can actually choose not to dwell there. Anytime I think things or people or situations or conditions are wrong, or they're not to my liking, how I think they should be, they're not acting the way I want them to, and I allow that thought of resistance to affect my emotional state, then I have a negative experience in my life, or in my mind, or in my emotions, or in my body. Negative in the way that it brings me some kind of suffering. Inner resistance means I'm fighting against what is. I'm fighting against the present moment right now. Like, for instance, in my own relationships, if someone acts or reacts in a way I, for whatever reason, think it's wrong, then I will experience that reaction in real time, which is now, and it brings me unhappiness. I'll experience it as negative. It will bring me unhappiness. And then I tend to blame the other person or the situation for upsetting me or making me unhappy or depressed or angry or sad or whatever the case may be, when I am the one causing my suffering by resisting the present moment. Does anybody else ever do that? It's like all the time, right? I mean, honestly, people are bugging us all the time, right? Or situations or something. When we do that, we place ourselves at the mercy of other people or other things for our happiness and joy. And we find ourselves on a roller coaster of uncontrollable emotions or pain, or maybe the Buddhists call suffering, right? When we place our constant attention on our outer world, we set ourselves up for failure right away, because the outer world is a constant moving target. It is impermanent, forever changing, all things passing away eventually. Whereas our inner world of being, our presence, is our truth and our reality. It never changes. It's always and forever constant. In God we live and move and have our being. We teach here at CSL that our inner life of thoughts and beliefs and emotions, that inner life is the cause of our outer life. Therefore, if we want to change our outer life, we have to change our inner state of being first, and then the outer will follow. Placing our constant attention on the outer picture, our physical or our material world, is like moving through life trying to change the reflection in the mirror instead of the cause of the reflection. It just doesn't work that way. It brings us frustration. So if peace is what we are looking for, is peace anything anyone is looking for? Just checking. If we're looking for that instead of irritation or frustration, then we need to realize that resisting or having judgments or opposition to what is happening in this present moment is the cause of our experiencing this moment as negative. Resisting what is. Have you heard of that before? Yes. In The Power of Now, he speaks so much about how our mind and our thoughts have taken over our lives. We have at some point given so much power to our thinking minds that we believe that is who we are. We place our identity in our minds instead of in our inner being, our true identity. And this means that we find our identity in our ego. We believe our ego is us. So we identify there in the material, physical, outside world. That's where we find our identity instead of that bigger, more expansive space, that inner being within us, who we truly are. And we have to get still to even notice that. Eckhart Tolle says the greatest obstacle to experiencing our own inner being is our identification with our mind, which causes thought to become compulsive. Are you a compulsive thinker? Yes. Right? This incessant mental noise prevents us from finding that realm of inner stillness that is inseparable from being. He goes on to say that the mind is a superb instrument if used rightly. Used wrongly, however, it becomes very destructive. To put it more accurately, it is not so much that you use your mind wrongly, you usually don't use it at all. It uses you. Have you ever noticed that? It uses you. You believe that you are the mind, and this is the delusion. The instrument has taken you over. When we place our identity in our mind, or maybe in our body, we think that's who we are, we will always be limiting our experience of good, of peace, of joy, of abundance, of wholeness. And only when we place our identity in our inner presence, or God, will we open the possibilities for all of those things to make their way to us. Actually, all of those things are already within us. They don't come to us. They're within us already. No waiting required. When we have a realization or we have an expanded awareness of them as our truth, we have to be consciously aware of that in order for it to show up in our life. That's our job. So the first step in transforming our negativity and letting go of resistance is to identify with our inner being instead of our ego mind as the truth of who we are. So we say here a lot, remember who you are. And what we mean is remember that you are a manifestation of that one creative life principle operating as this entire universe. That's who you are. You are whole, perfect, and complete right now if you could just know it. Know it by feeling it. Not intellectually know it, but feel it in your being, know it. Our egoic mind has taken on a life of its own, pretending to be us. I know this is true about me. It pretends to be me. It is unconscious to us, just working out old patterns created from the past experiences, or maybe from fears for our future. Anybody fearful of the future? So easy, because we don't know, right? We have given it dominion in our lives, and the unfailing creative process of life willingly says yes to those old patterns and continues to create them in our lives. And we continue to resist what is. We perpetuate them, and the ego just loves it. Loves negativity, keeps it alive, keeps you thinking that's who you are, is afraid to die. We somehow have to get off this ego-generated merry-go-round and hop over onto the present moment living merry-go-round and give our full undivided attention to our inner being, to God. Scripture says, thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. I think I lived several years on that statement right there. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace. Perfect peace, I'm after that. Whose mind is stayed on God qualities, God-like things, beauty, love, compassion. This is using our mind rightly, like spiritual mind treatment. When we do treatment every morning, when you get up and do treatment, you set yourself right, you set your mind right. You are using your mind to remember who you really are, to get that feeling deep inside before you start your day, so that you can go out into your day remembering who you are. And that ego is so tricky. It is so tricky. So if you set yourself right in the morning with some spiritual mind treatment or even a couple affirmations, you can move out into your day more easily, staying centered in who you really are. This is such a big subject, and we could spend a lifetime studying just this. But I'd like to give you a few ideas today of how to use your mind rightly, and that comes from what Eckhart Tolle was saying about using your mind instead of letting your mind use you. Or at least noticing when our mind is using us. That's a good start. When we can begin to notice even, then we are in a state of resisting. When we begin to notice that we are in a state of resisting the present moment, then we can begin to disidentify with our mind. And when you disidentify with your mind, then that will transform negativity because you release the resistance. It's almost like magic, but remembering to do it, practicing to do it, is not such an easy venture, or we'd all be doing it, right? We can think of our real life as our spiritual existence, unlimited, eternal, infinite in God. That's our real life. And our ego-created life is our life situation. It's what's happening. It's our story, our relationships. It's my job. Okay, that's my life situation, but it's not my life. My real life is my spiritual essence. So the first thing to do is practice placing our identity in God and not in our ego or our mind or our thoughts, using meditation, spiritual mind treatment, affirmations, whatever will bring you to that feeling, not just intellectually knowing it. You gotta sit down and feel it to be true. When I experience myself in resistance, which shows up as a negativity in any form, like when I gossip, when I complain, when I get irritated, angry, or depressed, I can take a pause. I can make some space in my thoughts, and I can realize this is not me. This is not me, but just old patterns pretending to be me. I can say, I know who I am. I am the one watching my thoughts. I am the one witnessing this negativity. I am bigger than that. I am more expansive than that. And just watch. Instead of identifying, instead of getting involved in it, just step back and watch. And then I'll feel the resistance and those negative feelings subside. They don't have any energy if I'm not going to get involved with them, right? I'm not keeping them alive. I'm just watching, not judging. Just so interesting, isn't it? So you stop negativity from arising by being fully present right now, watching, witnessing, being fully present, which means you accept the present moment as it is without jumping back into the past or projecting into the future. So whenever I notice that some form of negativity has arisen within me, which it probably is more often than not, instead of getting onto myself or thinking it's bad, I look at it as a helpful signal that tells me, wake up, Brenda. Get out of your mind and be present. So let your negativity remind you of that. Wake up. So another way or a practice for transforming negative thoughts, and this is from Eckhart Tolle as well. He says, when you feel some negativity arising within you that is caused by something external, something happening out here, imagine yourself becoming transparent to that external cause of your reaction. Maybe it's just a small irritation you experience, like a dog barking over and over and over, or a rude comment from someone, or some inconvenience that you may have. Just notice that it is your mind or your ego unconsciously trying to control the situation. It's trying to control the dog barking. It's making you irritated. So, as if irritation could actually make it go away. Isn't that so silly? But our ego really believes this. It really believes that getting irritated could make that go away. And when you're conscious enough to see how silly that is, then you can overcome or transform or transcend that irritation. He says, make this opportunity into a spiritual practice. Free yourself and feel yourself becoming transparent without the solidity of a material body, and allow whatever it is to pass right through you. Become transparent. Let it pass right through you. It is no longer hitting a solid wall within you. You have removed the wall of resistance within you that constantly gets hit by things that shouldn't be happening. Anybody have that wall? Golly. So I love that. And I know that Michael Singer also has that same kind of a practice. He doesn't say transparent, he says let it go above your head. Okay? Transparent, just let it move through you. Don't attach to it. Don't let it hit that wall of resistance. Let it pass through. You will be amazed how your irritation will just go away. Let everything pass right through you, and you will have transformed the negativity to peace. Sounds so easy when he writes it, doesn't it? Okay, because we all like action, I know we're human beings and we all like to do, right? So I have 4 action steps to let go of negative thinking. Number 1, write a spew letter. Get all of those negative thoughts out of your system by putting them down on paper. If your negative thoughts are about a relationship, write out a letter to the person. Don't hold back at all, and make sure to say everything you need to. Once the letter feels complete, take a quiet moment to sit with it. If it's a letter to someone else, now imagine that person sitting in front of you and read the letter out loud with all of your emotions. When you're finished, put it away. Burn it safely or delete it. You're not going to send this letter to anyone. This is for you and your thought processes only. Number 2, give your negativity to nature. If you live near an ocean, practice writing out your negative thoughts in the sand. Take a few steps back and wait for the waves to wash over them. As they do, imagine the negative thoughts leaving your mind. Also, you could release them. I know we don't live by an ocean. You could release them into a river, into a stream, into the floating clouds. You could give them to the earth or the trees by actually touching the earth, hugging the tree. They can handle it. Nature is so nurturing, isn't it? Number 3, shake it off. In the wild, when animals experience a stressful event, you'll notice something interesting. They don't sit and ruminate about what just happened. Instead, animals literally shake out their bodies, then move on with their day. Eckhart Tolle talks about that in his book. He talks about watching ducks, and ducks do just that. When they get in a fight and a squabble in the water, you'll see them do that for just a minute and then go back and they flap their wings really a lot. You've seen that, right? And then go on, and then peace and calm, right? Thinking negatively about something over and over again appears to be an exclusively human trait. It may bring you some comfort to take after animals in the wild and move your body as a way to process difficult thoughts. To help quiet the mind's chatter, consider exercise, yoga, dancing around your home, shaking out each of your limbs, or any other form of movement you find enjoyable. Research has shown that physical activity promotes stress relief, among other benefits. You can come back up. And number 4, I've used this, the then what exercise. And I remember thinking this when I was really having some struggles. Mostly it was financial struggles in my life. And I remember doing this exercise, and I came across these 4 things on the internet. And this is then what exercise. A lot of times our negative thoughts are less about external events and more about whether we believe we'll be able to handle them. Like feeling out of control or wondering if you'll get through this. This exercise below is designed to help you play out the worst case scenario in your mind. It's a technique with roots in Stoic philosophy called anticipating adversity. Write out a negative thought you're having. For example, my spouse can't find another job. And then ask yourself, then what? And so they've got some examples here. My spouse can't find another job. Then what? We can't pay the rent. Then what? We'll have to take out a loan. Then what? They could say no. Then what? We'll have to borrow from family. Then what? It could strain our relationship. Then what? We'll have to have a tough conversation. Then what? I'll feel really embarrassed and stressed. You say continue until you can see the difference between what's in your control and what's out of your control. You may notice that the worst case scenario is more manageable than you initially had thought it would be. It says, of course it isn't true in all cases, but this may help provide some relief from your fears, right? So to sum all this up, the ego believes that through negativity, it can manipulate reality and get what it wants. It believes that through negativity, it can attract a desirable condition or dissolve an undesirable condition. Instead of attracting a desirable one, it stops it from arising. Instead of dissolving an undesirable one, it keeps it in place. The only useful function of negativity is that it strengthens the ego, and that is why the ego just loves it. So hopefully you have a few ideas maybe to help if anybody, negativity seems to be, it's like a disease for us right now, especially in the world. So if we're able to get out of our minds and into our hearts and feel our true presence and our true connection with what is real, then we're going to start transcending negativity and changing the world, right? Let's sing.
Okay.
God, you are every mountain. God, you are every ocean. God, you are every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every morning. God, you are every midnight. God, you are every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God, you are every sunrise. God, you are every rainbow. God, you are every starshine, every inch of earth and sky. God, you are every springtime. God, you are every snowfall. God, you are every season, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. 'Cause you are the very breath I breathe, and your perfect love created me. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything above, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you.
Okay, as the ushers come forward, this is the time to consciously participate in the law of circulation, another spiritual practice. So if you'll just take your tithe, your gift, whatever in your hand. and know that I have gratefully received. And in this gratefulness, I know from whence my abundance comes, and I complete the circulation by sharing into the world. And our affirmation: in giving my gifts, I open to the abundance of the universe. And if afterwards, before I take a picture of the prayers, there is some that got sort of erased. If you'd like to fill in the ones that got erased, please do so.
So here's one last glance into the past and a little wave goodbye. One last glance into the past. I'm letting go so I can fly. Looking out my back door, it's a brand new day, the sun has risen. Hold the mountains of yesterday, can't you just feel it? Joy is in the air, there's a new beginning. In a field of flowers without a care, there's a part of me that wants to hold on to the past and what might have been. But the river that flows deep in my soul reminds me there's more to life. Come on and jump in. So I'm gonna get up, go on, have a great day. I'm gonna get up, go on, try to play. I'm gonna get up, go on. Hey, hey, everybody, get up, go on. Let's have a great day. I'm walking in wisdom, all is well in the presence of a perfect love that cannot fail. Peace and kindness, compassion, forgiveness, harmony, keep me in line with who I am and who I'm meant to be. There's a part of me that wants to hold on to the past, but then again, the river that flows deep in my soul reminds me there's more to life than what might have been. So I'm gonna get up, go on, have a great day. I'm gonna get up, go on, like a child and play. I'm gonna get up, go on. Hey, hey, everybody, get up, go on. Let's have a great day. So here's one last glance into the past and a little wave goodbye. One last glance into the past. I'm letting go so I can fly. I'm gonna get up, go on, have a great day. I'm gonna get up, go on, like a child and play. I'm gonna get up, go on. Hey, hey, everybody, get up, go on. Let's have a great day. Have a great day. Let's have a great day. Get up, go on, 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 have a great day.
And these blessings come forth, blessing us, continuing to bless our church, ourselves, and the world, and so it is.
Thank you so much, Lou. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next, let's claim our good together. So this is the last time for these particular affirmations. So let's really, by now we know them, let's really feel them inside as we speak them together as one voice here all the way down. My body is the temple of divine love. I am safe in the pocket of God. My mind is still and my heart is open. I listen. Be still, all is well. God is with me always, in all ways, and so it is.
I'm in the right place at the right time. I'm just where I'm supposed to be.